we're going to jump into the 10 health activators. And as I go through mine, I'm going to encourage you guys to everybody write down what your activities are, what the purpose is of those, and then we can share them. Because as I look at health activators, I think longevity, one of the big pursuits that we have in our medical practices is how can we help more people get better results faster? Well, the only way to do that is to help them change who they are and help them pull their future self into the present moment. The book called The Creative Act by Rick Rubin, that is a book that has transformed my thinking of the artistic process. And so if you can look at health as an art project, and every day you start with a blank canvas, and it's like, what are the things you want to put on that canvas by the end of the day? And so that you draw out your perfect day. And this is the 10 health activators. So you all want to be looking at your heart rate variability. So Kate, do you check your heart rate variability like on your Apple phone, or do you do that much?
No, I would like to. You just use, what app do you use to check it on your phone?
You know, it's if you go to your health app in your phone, the one with the little heart on it, it can show you, but you may have to have an Apple Watch for it. And so
I don't have an Apple Watch.
Okay, yeah, because it's got to measure the amplitude, but it's really important to look at that marker, because what you'll see is on the days that I do more vagal tone accelerators, I actually have a higher level of heart rate variability. And the importance of that is it shows the health of my central nervous system. So when your heart contracts, it needs to relax fully and then contract and then relax. If you think about when we're stressed, our heartbeats like we get really frozen. And so heart rate variability, there's an app that I used to use called Heart Math, and I would hook a little sensor up to my ear, and you've seen that one, Kate, and it would have you breathe in a certain pattern. But breathing alone is a way to activate vagal tone and create better heart rate variability. Exercise creates better heart rate variability, cold exposure. But the three things I'm going to recommend everybody is gag, gasp, and grip. The 3 Gs aren't just rap artists, but are essential activators to keep the parasympathetic nervous system calm and your higher self in charge. So gag. What are some ways you could gag yourself? I want to see everybody gag themselves.
Too deep. That's what happens to me. Brushing.
All right, gag. Come on, Tucker, you got a spoon. You could gag yourself pretty easy. Yeah. I just gag myself. It feels, it gets you a little uneasy, but don't throw up, anybody. But you can feel that little kind of tingling in your gut when you do that. That's a vagal tone activator. It's the same tingling when you hold your breath, when we do Wim Hof and you hold your breath and you wait for that catecholamine message where you get the tinglies in your perineum and then up your spine. That's vagal tone. And so yeah, this is a great way. Toothbrush, as Annie mentioned, twice a day. If you gag yourself, you're going to get a lot of distance out of it. Gasping is when you get in cold exposure and you go, that activates the sympathetic nervous response. So every day, some kind of cold exposure. And then gripping is I have Kegels on here, but it's also hand grip. So if you guys aren't using some of the the tools for your patients with hypertension, the gripping tools, we send them one of those Amazon kind of spongy balls. And every patient, we have them work on their grip because it's so good for vagal tone, but it's really good at regulating blood pressure. And then in our Fitness 50 at age 100, and even our Fitness 25 at age 50, one of our tools is the dead hang. And so that grip strength goes a long ways. And by the way, Kate, do you know my dynometer, the grip strength tester?
Yeah.
If you're kind of like being able to grip 100 pounds is like top. I just found some studies on that. So that's good. It's someone under 50.
Really?
Yeah.
We were like 110 to 115 or 19 or something, right?
Yeah. I think it's the only.
I felt like it was weak.
Yeah, I thought so too. I mean, with yours was weak because you're stronger than me, but my grip is almost as good as yours. I think I was stronger in my right side, or I can't remember. It's the one time in my life I've been stronger than Kate.
Yeah,
You
there
know,
was a time there
the
where you were
gagging,
stronger than me.
the gagging thing I just
Tossed
thought
around like a
too.
rag doll.
So your gagging thing, I do neti in the shower at the beginning of, and I finish with cold and do neti at the beginning. And so if I'm not careful with that, I can gag. And it's like, well, now it's like I
Hmm.
can try to gag instead of try not to.
Yeah, there you go. You just changed up the game right there. All right, number 2 is sensory priming. And so I just did the eye drops. Tucker is a big proponent of the eye drops, and we talked about those yesterday. We did those. We talked about Boca Zen, getting your mouth all clean and purified. But the more you can activate your hearing, your sight, your smell, your taste, it's really important. And one of the things that Andrew Huberman recommends to get all the sensories moving is to get outside and just move, like go for a light jog or run, even walking when there's 3-dimensional objects. Instead of being on a screen in the morning or just having your eyes closed, actually getting out and moving your body is really helpful. And if you're like where I'm at and it's 5 below in the morning and you don't really want to go outside, well, just running around your house, and I'll run up and down my stairs. My dog will chase me and get all freaked out, and not freaked out, but he thinks it's playtime. And it's a really good way to activate the senses. The other thing is walking backwards. One of the best ways you can protect your knees and all the joints in your body is through walking backwards. So I call it walking backwards for forward progress. And moving in reverse, if you follow the knees over toes guy, it actually shows that it's a way that you can lubricate the joints, and you strengthen all of the ligaments and the tendons in the area because you're now getting new fluid that moves into it. And for most of us, our movements are lateral based. We're running or we're on a bike or we're skiing, and it's pretty much lateral. Skiing ends up being a little more side to side, but when you start walking backwards, the Chinese culture, from what I've read, Mike, I've never been to China. You could correct me if I'm wrong, but they do exercises where they walk backwards. And if you watch Qigong or Tai Chi, they're moving their body in multiple dimensions, which is missing in a lot of exercise protocols in the United States. Kettlebells is a great way of multiplanar movements. But when you think of walking, just ruck it. Put on a weighted vest or grab a kettlebell, or I'll grab a couple dumbbells and I'll walk up the stairs backwards. I'll set my timer for 5 minutes, and I try to do that every night while we're making dinner. I'll put the meat on the Traeger, and then I'll grab my dumbbell and walk up and down, and then get some other things set up and take a couple more laps. But I've noticed that my knees have been so much stronger this year, snowboarding and skiing, because I'm doing this activity. Kate, have you tried that yet?
No, you've talked to me about it, and I've had intentions, but I have not taken action on it.
Oh, you're coming on the precipice of needing some fluid in the joints. So yeah.
Oh, I need to start doing that. And I know, walking backwards up the stairs, that's something I can easily do. I can do some rucking.
Yeah, just ruck it. I'm going. Awesome. The other one is the 30-30 exercise protocol. As you know, the studies show that 300 minutes of moderate or 600 minutes of mild exercise adds another 27 to 30% longevity. And so my daily goal is to burn 910 calories of exercising every day. And I'm very consistent on getting that done. Yesterday, I was just over 1,000. I went for a run after this, and it was awesome. So I don't know what you guys are doing, but if you can get out as the sun's rising or as the sun's setting, these are really important things. And I've had patients that have told me that this singular activity, when they just commit to this in their reset part of their program, they said that single decision to do the 30-30 exercise protocol has given them more confidence than anything else in the entire program. We now have patients who are doing push-ups who are in their 70s and they never imagined they can do push-ups. And now they're doing multiple, they're not just doing singular push-ups. And so when your physical body starts to get better, and when you start to notice that you're stronger, you can't help but feel better psychologically. And I think the physiology, I got this from Tony Robbins, but he says the very first thing we need to correct is our physiology. And that's why he's such a proponent of getting in the right state. And then we work on our psychology, and then the spirituality is on the top. A lot of us have it reversed, and we try to get all zen and spiritual before we work on our physiology. And it just it creates this conflict in our body. So 30-30 is really important. And I want you guys to live 27 to 30% longer. There's no reason why we shouldn't. Did the world just get more fascinating in the last 2 months since ChatGPT came out, or what? I mean,
Oh yeah.
like, we don't even know how to use it. Like, how many of you just feel like you're in kindergarten with it?
Yeah, like preschool, just
Yeah,
figuring it out.
it's wild. And we're going to go through, and I'll do an exercise and see if we can help you guys create some, no homework policy today, get some work done with it. But man, it's been such a fun breakthrough, and I've got so many great ideas, and now it's just executing. So the fifth part of my enjoyable activities, and plug in yours as I'm going through these, because I'm giving you ideas, and this is what you bring into your curriculum, these enjoyable activities. And you have the worksheet now, and so you take your patients and you sit down with them and you say, these are the 10 things I do, because walking the talk is such a critical piece of medicine. In the future, I think, doctors who don't take care of themselves, I think they're going to, people will sniff it out, and they're going to have a lot more choices. And so we need to be at that forefront and make a precedence in our practice to walk the talk. So my most recent 52-week experiment, I do this at every birthday. I say, this is what I'm going to do for the next year. 25 enjoyable miles. And I've hit this all but a couple of weeks with travel and things like that, where I didn't quite hit it. But this is a really fun milestone where I can make sure that I'm getting miles and that I really enjoy doing. So last weekend, I skied at Deer Valley, and we skied roughly about 16 miles. And then I went cross country skiing the next day, and we did 3.5 miles. So those were all enjoyable miles. If I'm chasing my dogs, like last night, I spent a mile chasing my dogs because I had them off leash. We're on a trail, and they chased a deer. And so those dicks, I'm running after my dogs, and that was not enjoyable. So it doesn't count because I was pissed off. And then you got people yelling like, your dogs are going to get hurt. I'm like, thank you. I had no clue that they could get trampled. But yeah, the 25 enjoyable miles is pretty easy, because it can be broken down to 3.5 miles a day, or 8,000 intentional steps. So when I'm walking from one side of the office to the next, or upstairs to downstairs, those don't count. But when I'm doing things that are intentional, like going for a run, going for a walk, hiking, mountain biking, skiing, the 25 enjoyable miles are to help remind me to participate in the recreation more. I think recreation is an undervalued part of health, and you'll hear me talk about it a lot more this year, because AI is going to save us more time in the future. And so we all need more hobbies and more recreation, and we need more time outside. And that's the capability I see it giving me. Peptide pathways. So for 20 years, I've looked for therapies that made the most scientific sense, that had efficacy, and they had a track record, of ideally decades, but also they had a future that was much bigger than its past. And those are peptides. Peptides. If you guys are not following peptides, we had a peptide party last night, and we talked about some of the most commonly used peptides these days. But if you're not using those in your practice, get on those, because the peptide pathways, and just using them myself over the last 8 years, has made a huge difference. But now you guys need to start using those in your practice. So opening up the peptide pathways every day is huge. Tucker says, yeah, one of my favorite Misha quotes is people get sick and sad because they forget to play. What does she mean by that, Tucker?
So if you know Misha, which I think everyone does, she's somebody that finds joy in the little things. She does all kinds of fun activities. And I think what she means is if people, and I'm relating this to your enjoyable miles, people can go walk for 3 miles a day, but doing something they enjoy is more beneficial. So just kind of tagging on to what you were talking about there, I think she means that you've got to have fun with what you're doing too, not just do it to do it, but actually get some enjoyment, some fun out of it, some dopamine, so you don't get sick or sad.
Love it. Yeah, couldn't agree more. I mean, it's like how many times do we just do something only for the enjoyment of it? And
Not very often.
Not as much as you used to, yeah.
Yeah, but it's got to be something that's good for you, because we think, oh, well, if I'm going to go through the drive-through and get some garbage food because you get that momentary pleasure. It's not what I'm talking about.
Strategy of how to erase that, so it's okay now.
It's sorry, Kate, I missed the strategy of erasing it. What?
It's Mike's wife's strategy. You go through the drive-through, you pound the burger, and then you just throw it back up. You get.
Oh yeah, Mike Buzzy actually gave us. You're right.
Hack.
Sorry,
that is biohacking at its best, everybody. Sorry.
Did you say bile as in B-I-L-E, Kate? Bile hacking?
Yes.
All
Sorry,
right.
that was a tangent.
Yeah, number 7 is the muscled up future. Your muscles are your largest organ in your body, and they help you move. And it goes in with the enjoyable miles, the peptide pathways, because many of the peptides help build really healthy muscle. And the muscled up future is also what's going to help us protect our joints. And so you stay out of pain. And so there's really no disadvantage unless you're trying to put on too much muscle. But holy cow, this muscle up future is something that's important. So I like lifting weights 4 or 5 days out of the week. It's not uncommon where there's 7 days out of the week where I'm doing some light lifting, and then three days out of the week something more heavy. And I just find that it gives me a sense of confidence. So I think all of us have experienced that when you push your body in certain directions, you can't help but feel better than before you started. And so I dare you to have a really good exercise routine, and then just try to feel really crappy at the end of that. I mean, if you push yourself too hard, yes, but in general, you'll find you feel so much relief. Love my protein. So love my protein. I have an evening crush on carbs. So this evening crush on carbs, I think carbs have gotten a real bad rep. And I think all of us have, we've heard that, and there's the keto diet, there's a paleo diet, all these things, but really carbohydrates help feed the good flora in your gut. And if you restrict your carbohydrates to nighttime, that's when you can get the most benefits from them, because you're more insulin sensitive. And then those carbohydrates help you create dopamine and serotonin. So you just get this nice grounding sense. And so I've learned to love, have an evening crush on carbs when I went years without them. Now I enjoy potatoes that have been cooled down, rice, sweet potatoes. My wife makes amazing bread. And that's been really exciting. And then the thing with protein is I found that 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight is exceptional. So Kate, you've been deep into the carnivore diet and getting more protein in. What's changed with you since you started doing that?
I from the beginning really leaned down, and it just like I felt like I cut up a lot better. I've now started adding in a little bit more carbs, but my ability to build muscle and recover just I felt like that skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Just like feel better, better energy levels. And just, I felt like bowel movements, everything just worked really well on a very heavy meat diet for me. Apparently I am a very much carnivore because my body digs it.
Yeah. And it's hard because we've always been taught like, oh, you need to eat clean, and meat was never part of clean eating. And so ever since about the age of, I think, even the Inner Athlete book that I read when I was 13 by Dan Millman, I think he was advocating, more of a vegetarian based, which I think, don't get me wrong, I think vegetables are great, especially if you cook them. They're so good for you. And I try to eat a pound a day. But meat actually, if you think about it, and even as it's been analyzed, it's some of the cleanest types of food that we can consume. And preferable for so many patients, especially our male patients who we put on the carnivore diet for a 30-day reset, they just do so much better. So pretty interesting. So this is number 8. And by the way, this could change at any time. And so probably will over the years. I hope it does. Number 9 is removing rituals. And so this is an odd one because, I'm saying, hey, I do all these things and I have these 10 health activators. And then I'm saying one of the health activators is not doing anything. And so I think it's really important because sometimes rituals can be death by 1,000 cuts. We can get so consumed with needing to do everything that we get nothing done that's meaningful or important. And so, Alex Hormozy was talking about, well, what do you do to get ahead? And he's like, well, I just start work earlier. And it's like, that goes against everything that everyone's writing about these days. Alex Hormozy is just like, no, get as much shit done as you can. And then he pulls off at like 3 or 4 or whatever. And he doesn't beat himself up about it because he enjoys his work. I don't personally prefer to start my day with work unless it's a creative project. But I will send some emails out to move things off my plate. If there's an email that's been sitting and spinning in my brain and there's an answer I need to give somebody, I will occasionally do that in the morning. But I've also found that removing these rituals, I had, as growing up in a religious household, we had a lot of rituals that were imposed on us. For better or worse. I mean, I don't want to change anything. I wouldn't change anything about my childhood or what my parents taught me, but I find that a lot of those rituals we take into our lives, and there's a time and a space for them. And so letting go of rituals and finding out what I don't need to do has actually been really powerful for me. Every year I buy a new damn journal and I write like 2 pages in it, and then it just collects dust. And I realized like, maybe I just need to stop that. I know so many people tell me to journal. I just don't enjoy it. So I just stopped doing it. So that's just one small example. I think there's plenty of documentation that I did live, if anyone ever has any interest, which I doubt they will for very long. So Pilates Purgatory, this is the final one. I was going to have my wife chat about this one a little bit, but she herself was skate skiing today and cross-country skiing. We're kind of getting into it. But one of the biggest breakthroughs that I've had is if I can do a Pilates session with my wife once a week. It is an incredible way to lengthen your muscles, strengthen your muscles. You'll find muscles you didn't realize you had. And so we've got 2 reformers downstairs. I know many of you have seen it when you come over, but I would recommend get on a Pilates, just try it out. I found that it was incredibly helpful for me from a psychological perspective, but my physiology, I recover better on the weeks I don't do it. I noticed that I plateau on like Thursday, my whole body's sore and I can't finish my Friday workout with the intensity that I want. And so Pilates has been a really big breakthrough for me over the last 10 years. So those are my 10 I shared with you. What do you guys got? How many of you have some health activators that you love doing on a daily basis? And do you have a reason why you do those? And Tucker, remember at the retreat, we asked our patients what some of their rituals were, and we got some interesting responses, I thought. I remember Tina, she wakes up in the morning, 5 a.m., dims the light, and does yoga and works out to smooth jazz.
Yeah, which I thought that one was awesome. And I'll do like yoga and meditate in the morning. That's one of mine. Just to kind of get the right mindset started for the day. I've been doing some cold showers and whatnot for some time as well, but I'm gonna up my game on the cold therapy and vagal tone stuff too.
That's great. Taylor, hey, do you got anything you love doing every day?
So my 50 push-ups daily, I started that. It's been almost a year, and it's just every single day I make sure, like, if I can't work out or I'm not going to hit the gym or whatever, that's like my mandatory minimum. And I love doing push-ups. And I've recently started working out with a buddy of mine, and Kevin, actually. So yeah, you guys, you're going to do his blood review here pretty quick. He owns the Serve Pro up in Salt Lake, as well as in St. George down here. So he'll be really cool to work with, Regan. Ultimately, I've been like, we did chest day yesterday and just like did every chest movement possible. And he texts me today and he's like, dude, I am dying. My chest is on fire. And I was like, actually, my legs are still sore, but my chest is like, I feel pretty rock solid. So it's just like, it's cool how, you can just like have some better conditioning there. So obviously I want a nice chest, nice rack. So that's why I do my push-ups, as well as I feel like it's like one of those movements that can get like top to bottom, because you can stay really tight in your core, flex your cat. Like I try to create like a full body out of it. Cold showers, really getting more into weightlifting and training in the gym more recently. And yeah, those are kind of the activities that are coming to mind the most specific. And then I got to learn a little bit more on the carb side. I love my meat, and I feel like every time I fall back into like getting carbs into my diet, my midsection starts growing. So I gotta get a little more strategic there. Apparently at night, that's one of the biggest ones.
That's your time. Yep. And it's not a huge quantity. It's just enough, about 100 grams.
And that's probably, as you know me, moderation's not really my jam. So that could be the problem.
I'm not saying anything, just look into that one. It might. Yes.
If you give me one piece of sourdough, 3 is much better than 1.
3 is always better than 1. And I like Dr. Andrew. He's got his drip going. IV drip is a great health activator there. That's beautiful. All right, so I'm going to challenge you guys. How many of you could use this tool and develop an entire class, some education curriculum for your audience, for the people in your group? You could do a podcast on this. You can do a video, because people want to know what you do. And I get asked all the time, what do you do, Regan? And that's an underlying theme. So I try to produce something like this every year, and it keeps people on track. I used to have crazy, just the most wild, obnoxious smoothie that I would make with camel milk and all kinds of crazy stuff in it. And people loved it when I created the video on that. You remember my smoothie, Kate? I must have put like 100 things in that.
I do, yes. The camel milk. I remember the camel milk as well.
Yeah.
Do you still get the camel milk?
Nah, no, it's just like just a fad. So, all right. Well, we're going to shift gears. So your challenge is get your 10 health activators. Just take a little bit of time to think about what you're doing every day, and then what the purpose is of what you're doing, and then share that with your group and share it with your team to start with, see what they think. And then what you can do is jump in and start, sharing it with your patients, create some curriculum around it.